We've been told for years that the gimbal video, along with FLIR 1 and Go Fast, are easily explained. Mass hysteria, sensor glitches, drone tests gone wrong. They're not UFOs, they're IFOs, we've been assured. But what if the debunkers are wrong? What if the government, even after leaking those videos, still has a card up its sleeve? For years, the official line has been that the gimbal object, recorded by Navy pilots in 2015, was simply an artifact of the FLIR camera system. A simple case of parallax and auto-tracking confusing a distant jet exhaust plume with an actual airborne object. Easy to debunk, right? Case closed. Except, behind closed doors, things are very different. Today, we uncover evidence that the U.S. Navy knew long before the official debunkings that the gimbal object behaved in ways that defy conventional explanation, possessing capabilities we simply don't understand. This isn't just about the gimbal video. It's about a systematic effort to control the narrative, to hide what's really happening in our skies. Are you ready to face the truth? Let's start with the debunk. The most common explanation is parallax, that the object was actually stationary or moving at a more predictable speed, and that the perceived movement was due to the aircraft's own motion. Add to that the auto-tracking feature locking onto heat bloom from a distant plane, and you've got a convincing explanation that's propagated widely across the internet. Experts claim the pilots were confused, tricked by their own instruments. The gimbal lock, referred to in the pilot's commentary, nothing more than a limitation of the camera's tracking ability. But consider this. Why would the Navy, fully aware of this so-called simple explanation, go to the trouble of officially declassifying the gimbal video in 2017, only to asterisk and officially allow the debunking narrative to gain traction? Why not set the record straight from the get-go? Furthermore, eyewitness testimony consistently contradicts the official story. Pilots described an object displaying anomalous behavior, rotations that didn't correspond to wind or propulsion, and accelerations far exceeding anything they knew. These first-hand accounts are brushed aside by the experts, but they are not forgotten here at the Anomaly Ledger. Diving deeper, we've uncovered a memo, buried in the archives, a memo sent within the Naval Aviation Command just weeks after the gimbal incident. This memo, never intended for public release, details the initial findings of a preliminary investigation into the gimbal event. And what it reveals is shocking. Sensor data flagged multiple instances of energy expenditure not consistent with known aircraft propulsion systems, and recorded unidentified movement patterns and rapid accelerations that defy conventional aeronautical models. The memo goes on to acknowledge that the object was emitting a specific type of polarized light outside standard thermodynamics, contradicting claims of simple heat source. But here's the kicker. The memo also explicitly directs recipients to avoid any external communication regarding these findings, citing national security concerns and potential for public panic. Control the narrative is explicitly stated as an aim. This isn't about misidentified aircraft. This is about active suppression. This memo tells us that the Navy had substantial evidence that the gimbal object was something extraordinary, something potentially world-changing, and they immediately put a lid on it. Let's get one thing straight. Governments suppress information. They control the media narrative in wartime. But why go to so much trouble to suppress this data? Why let skeptics run amok? Debunking obvious truth. Here's why. It all comes down to the physics. The gimbal object, according to this suppressed memo, defies everything we think we know about flight and propulsion. It exhibits instantaneous acceleration, rotation without discernible means, energy signatures that don't fit any known technology. If admitted to the public at large, this is no longer some strange visual anomaly. or interesting tidbit for niche online forums. This has become undeniable proof of physics-breaking, revolutionary, earth-shattering paradigm change. And that's what those in power simply cannot allow. It isn't about national security. It's about protecting a pre-existing world order based on obsolete science. Now, for the smoking gun. Within the leaked memo, in the penultimate paragraph, appears a simple, terrifying phrase. Object shows no heat dissipation proportional to measured acceleration. Possible manipulated gravitational field suggested. A manipulated gravitational field. Think about what that means. They knew, early on, this wasn't a trick of the light. This wasn't an IFO. This was technology so advanced that it transcends our understanding of the universe. This changes everything. The gimbal video, debunked so readily, is actually proof of the biggest secret of the century. This isn't about alien visitors in tin-foil saucers. This is about science so far beyond our current grasp that admitting its existence risks upending our entire reality.
The Department of Defense acknowledges the existence of certain documented instances of unidentified aerial phenomena. These observations are subjected to rigorous scientific and analytical scrutiny to ascertain their potential threat to national security. The gimbal video, while containing unexplained features, does not necessarily indicate the existence of extraterrestrial technology or activity. We urge the public to rely on official statements from authorized government agencies when assessing these sensitive and complex matters.
So, after all the debunking, after all the misdirection, it turns out that the gimbal video is more than just a blurry image on a screen. It's a glimpse behind the veil. A peek into a reality that powerful forces are desperately trying to keep hidden. What if we're not just talking about UFOs, but a complete rewrite of our understanding of physics? How far are they willing to go to keep this secret? And, perhaps more importantly, who else knows? Join the Anomaly Ledger Inner Circle to continue exploring these vital questions.